Let's see the rule of product. The next principle, the next tool is the product rule. And this is extremely important, let me tell you. This is more important than the summation rule. Okay, what is this product rule? Let's understand. You want to go from Chennai. So you are in Chennai, okay, and you want to go from Chennai to Delhi via Bangalore. You want to stay in Bangalore for one day and then you want to go to Delhi. So let's assume that either you can go by this path or you can go by this path. Okay, from Bangalore to Delhi, let's assume either you can go by this path or either you can go by this path or you can go by this path or you can go by this path. Now tell me, how many ways are there for you to go from C to D? So number of ways from C to D via B. So how many ways are there to go from C to D via B? How many ways are there? Notice that, very simple. Okay, to complete this task, tell me, to complete this task, what you need to do? If you want to complete this task, then what you need to do? You need to complete this task. Okay, remember, this is your task T. This is your main task T. To complete this task, you have to complete this task, and this and is there, and you have to complete this task. Okay, so this is the idea. Very simple. Remember, you have to complete this task. You have to go from Chennai to Bangalore, and you have to go from Bangalore to Delhi. This and must be there. Tell me, if you do this task, can I say your task T is done? If you go from Chennai to Bangalore, can I say your task T is done? No. Okay, so remember, you have to do this task and you have to do this task. Now you can notice one more interesting thing. Okay, so basically from Chennai to Bangalore, this task you can do either in A. Let's assume you take the path A. Then how many ways for B to D? Means if you do this A, now how many ways for B to D? So from Chennai to Bangalore, you can take this path A. Now once you do this, now how many ways for B to D? Now there are 3 ways for B to D. Either you can take X, or you can take Y, or you can take Z. Similarly, if you take this path B from C to B, from Chennai to Bangalore, then tell me, then how many ways from Bangalore to Delhi? So let's assume you take this path. Now how many ways from Bangalore to Delhi? Again 3, because now you can take X, now you can take Y, now you can take Z. So total how many ways are there? Tell me. Now total how many ways? Total ways. So total how many ways you have? So the answer will be, okay, I can say 2 into 3, because for this you have 3 choices. For this you have 3 choices. So finally answer will be what? 6. And I can say that is 2 into 3, because for each of them, here you have 3 choices. Okay, so this is the idea. Remember, for each of them, here you have 3 choices. For A, you have 3 choices. For B, you have 3 choices. So for each of them, you have 3 choices. So I can say finally total will be 2 into 3. For each of them, you have 3 choices. Yes or no? So I can say that this task you can do in 2 ways. This task you can do in 3 ways. And can I say one important thing, very important thing? Once this is done, can I say for every way here, we have 3 ways here? Can I say for every way here, we have 3 ways here? Yes, right? You can notice for every way here, very important. For every way here, you have 3 ways here. For every way here, you have 3 ways here. So remember, this is important. So once this is done, you have 3 ways. Okay, once this is done, you have 3 ways. So you can finally, I can say this task T can be done in 2 into 3 ways. Okay, so this is the product rule. Okay, let me tell you one interesting thing about the product rule. Very interesting thing. Okay, so these note 1, note 2. In which situation product rule will be applicable, you will tell me. Okay, I am giving you 2 notes. Okay, and you give me in which situation product rule will be applicable. Let's assume there is a task T1. Okay, and there is a task T2. Let us assume if you do this task T1 in wave 1, Okay, there is a wave 1. It means wave 1. Okay, this is wave 1. If you do this task in way W1, let us assume you are doing this task in W1 way, then let's assume there are N1 ways. Okay, and if you do this task in way 2, way W2, then let's assume you have again N1 ways. And let's assume you do this task in way WM, then let's assume you have N1 ways. Now tell me, okay, from this you tell me, I want to do task T1 and I want to do task T2. Okay, I want to do task T1 and I want to do task T2. So how many ways are there? Total number of ways. Total number of ways. You can notice that. You can notice task T1 can be done in M ways. There are total M ways. Okay, for every way you have N1 ways. For every way you have N1 ways. For every way you have N1 ways. So finally answer will be what? That will be M into N1 ways. Yes or no? Because total M ways you have here. Task T1 can be done in total M ways. Because for every way here you have N1 ways. For every way here you have N1 ways. So finally you can multiply them. Finally you can multiply them. So total number of ways will be, that will be M into N1. Now consider this same situation you consider, but let me change something. Let me do W3. So for W3, let's assume you have N1 ways. Now for W4, for this W4, let us assume you have N2 ways. Now something I am changing something. So here you have total 4 ways. Total you have 4 ways. Now tell me how many ways to do this task T1 and T2. Now can you multiply? Are you getting my point? There are 4 ways for task T1. There are 4 ways for task T1. There are 4 ways for task T1. You can notice for each of them, this task T2 can be done in N1 ways. For each of them. But for this task will be done in N2 ways. So here you cannot do, here this will be a mistake. If you do 4 into N1, this is wrong, right? This is wrong, correct? 4 into N1, this will be wrong. Yes or no? 4 into N1, that will be wrong, correct or not? So what will be correct? Correct number of ways. Correct number of ways will be, I can say 3N1 plus N2. 3N1 plus N2. This is what I can do. Okay, so this is what I am saying, that in the product rule, you have to take care of this thing. In the product rule, so let's assume you have a task T, and let's assume this, for to complete this task T, either you can do task T1. Sorry, to complete this task T, you have to do task T1 and you have to do task T2. Okay, so this and is important. So you have to do task T1 and you have to do task T2. Okay, now both have to be done. Both have to be done. Let us assume that task T1 you can do in N1 ways. There are N1 ways for task T. There are N ways for task T1. And let us assume for each of these, once this is done, once task T1 is done, there are M ways for task T2. So remember this important. This is extremely important that I am writing. Understand this. Once T1 is done, in any way, okay, whatever, because task T1 can be done in N ways, right? Yes or no? Yes or no? Task T1 can be done in N ways. So once task T1 is done, once this is done in any way, there are M ways. There are M ways for T2. There are M ways for T2. There are M ways. So remember these M ways we have after this is done. After T1 is done. This is important. This word is important. After T1 is done. Okay. So once you do this task T1, after this is done, in whatever way, in any way, in whatever way you do this, there are m ways for task T2. So finally, what will be the number of ways for task T? Number of ways for task T, that will be n into m. So because of this and this multiplication is coming. Because of this and this multiplication is coming. But so, okay, this point is important. With example, this will be clear. So don't worry. I will take example. With example, this point will be clear. But I am saying that after this is done, after this T1 is done, okay, then I can say that after this T1 is done, once this T1 is done, then I can say that you have m ways for T2. Okay, let's take example so that this point becomes clear. Let's take this example you take. So let's assume you want 4-letter word you want. 4-letter English word you want. English word you want. Okay, you want a 4-letter English word. So how many we have? So tell me how many we have. You want a 4-letter English word. How many we have? So what you want? You want a 4-letter English word. So you want 4 letters. Your task is 4 letters. Your task is 4 letters. This is your task T. Your task is 4 letters. Tell me one thing. Okay, just tell me one thing. This is your small task T1. T1 means putting the first letter. T2 means putting the second letter. T3 means putting the third letter. T4 means putting the fourth letter. Tell me. If I do T1, is task T done? If I do T1, is task T done? No. So there is and, right? There is an and here. You have to do task T1 and you have to do task T2 and you have to do task T3 and you have to do task T4. You have to put the first letter, you have to put second letter, you have to put third letter, you have to put fourth letter. So there is and here. This and you have. Now tell me how many ways for task T1? Means I want to put the first letter. How many ways? There are 26 ways. I want to put first letter. Let me put A here. Now once this is done, remember this is important. After this is done, now how many ways for T2? Once this is done, now how many ways for T2? Of course 26 ways. Of course 26 ways, because I can again put A. Remember, I can again put A because I want English words. In an English word, by default repetition is allowed or not? In English word, by default repetition, is this an English word? Is this English word? Yes, this is English word. Is this English word? Yes, this is English word. Okay. This is English word. So you can notice that by default repetition is allowed. So remember, after this is done, I can again use A. I can use 26 ways. There are 26 ways because maybe I can use T. Once these two are done, now how many ways for T3? Now 26 ways. I can again use A comma T. Remember, I can use again A comma T. I can use. Now how many ways for T4? Again, that is 26 ways. I can use A comma T again. That is my choice. So finally, task T can be done. Remember, that is 26 into 26 into 26. So the answer will be 26 power 4. Is this clear? Is this point clear to everyone? Now let me change the question. How many English words without repetition? Without repetition. How many without repetition? So you want to create 4-letter word. How many without repetition? How many without repetition? So you want a 4-letter English word. You want a 4-letter English word. So tell me, should I do task T1 and T2 and T3 and T4, right? There is and between them, correct? I should do task T1 and I should do task T2 and I should do task T3. Task T1 means first letter. Okay, task T2 means second letter. Tell me, how many ways for T2? How many ways I have? How many ways I have for T2? How many ways I have to put the second letter? There are 26 ways. There are 26 ways. There are 26 ways. I am directly putting, I am starting from the second letter. I am starting from the second position. I am starting from the second position. So first I will put the second position, then I will put the remaining. So how many ways for T2? 26 ways. Let me put A here. Let me put A here. Now tell me how many ways for T1. Once this is done, once after this is done, how many ways for T1? Now I cannot use A. This A I cannot use. So there are only 25 ways. This A I cannot use. So let me put T. Okay, now once this is done, these two are done. How many ways for T3? For T3, how many ways? Now I cannot use A comma T. So let me put Z. Okay, so there are 24 ways. I can use 24 ways. And finally, I can put, okay, for example, like this. So there are 23 ways. So the answer will be this into this into this. Okay, is this clear? Is this point clear? Now, one thing important you should understand. Remember, how many ways for if I start from T, let's assume I start from T1. Let's assume I start from T1. I can start from T1, right? So let me start from T1. How many ways I have? Same question, but I'm starting from T1. How many ways I have? So there are 26 ways. I'm starting from T1. Okay, so I'm putting the first letter. So how many ways I have? 26 ways. I can put S here. Now, after this is done, now how many ways? 42. After this is done, now how many ways? 42. Now I have 25 ways. Okay, I can put, maybe U. Once this is done, how many ways for T4? How many ways for T4? Once this is done, how many ways for T4? For T4, I have 24 ways. For T4, I have 24 ways. I cannot use S comma U. I can use P. Now this is done. Now how many ways for T3? Now there are 23 ways for T3. Okay, I can use some other. So finally, answer will be same. Can you notice answer is same? Can you notice answer is same? Yes or no? So it does not matter in which order you do. It does not matter in which order you do. Yes or no? It does not matter. Here I am doing first T1, then I am doing T2, then I am doing T3, T4, then T3. This order I am doing. Here I am doing first I am doing T2, then T1, then T3, then T4. It does not matter in which order you do. In whichever order you do, the answer will be same. But one thing you should understand, individually for every position, how many ways you have? Individually for every position, how many ways you have? Individually you have 26 ways. Individually for every position you have 26 ways. But remember, once this task is done, once you have done this task, after this is done, now how many ways? After this is done, how many ways? 25. So that is the idea. So in the product rule, this is important. After T1 is done, you have M ways for T2. Okay, I hope this point is clear to everyone. In the product rule, we will solve a lot of questions. Don't worry, let's try this. A new company with just 2 employees. There are only 2 employees, Sachin and Patel. Okay, rents a floor of a building with 12 offices. How many ways are there to assign different offices to these 2 employees? How many ways are there to assign different offices to these 2 employees? See, remember, so there are total 12 departments, offices, office 1, office 2, and so on, office 12. There are 12 offices. You have total 12 offices. Okay. And there are two people. There are two people. So there is Sanchez and there is Patel. I want to give different offices. I want to give one office to Sanchez and one office to Patel. How many ways for Sanchez? How many ways for Sanchez? How many ways for Sanchez? For Sanchez, I have 12 ways for Sanchez. Once this is done, let's assume I give him, let's assume I give him D3 office. Let's assume I give him D3 office. Now tell me, once this task is done, how many ways for Patel? How many ways for Patel? Now only 11 ways. So the answer will be finally, I want to give one office to Sanchez and I want to give one office to Patel. Okay, whatever I do here, there are 11 choices remaining. So the final answer will be 12 into 11 choices. There are total 12 into 11 ways. Is this clear to everyone? Is it clear to everyone? Why this is wrong? Now, let me ask you this. Why this is wrong? Like, what is the mistake? Find mistake. Find mistake. So you have 12 offices. Office 1, office 2, office 12. For this office, how many choices you have? For this office, how many choices you have? For this office, how many choices you have? Like if I do like this, is this correct? For this office, how many choices I have? There are two employees, S, P. There are two employees. How many choices I have here? How many choices I have for D1? What are the two choices? Some people are saying two choices. What are the two choices? See, I can give this office to Sanchez, or I can give this office to Patel, or I can give to none. So can I say three choices? Can I say D1? For D1 I have three choices. Can I say for D1 I have three choices? Similarly for D2, how many choices I have? Similarly for D2, how many choices I have? You should ask me, like after this D1 is done, in which way we are doing. See, if I put Sanchez here, then how many choices for D2? If I put Sanchez here, then how many choices for D2? Two choices. If I put Patel here, then how many choices for D2? Two choices. If I put none of them here, then how many choices for D2? Three choices. Can you notice this method is wrong? Can you notice? You cannot apply this method, this product rule, you cannot apply here. Yes or no? Can you notice? Because if I do in this way, then two ways. If I do in this way, then there are two ways. If I do in this way, then there are three ways. For different ways, I have different answers. Also, there is one more mistake. What is the mistake? What is the mistake? There is one more mistake. If I keep doing like this, then it is possible. That yes, it is possible that no department is given to anyone. It is possible that there is none here, none here, none here, none here. It is possible that I don't give any department to anyone. No office is given. No employee get an office. So can you notice this is a wrong thing. So this complete thing is wrong. This complete thing is wrong. Okay, I hope you are getting this, because remember, if I put S here, you are getting 2. If I put none here, you are getting 3. So you cannot apply product rule. You cannot apply product rule. And also, even if you solve like this, then it is possible that no one will get office. It is possible. But so this answer is correct. Yes or no? Let's take this question. How many distinguishable mean distinct? Distinguishable means distinct. Distinct means different. Distinct means different. Okay, so tell me, how many distinguishable strings of length 3 you can create? A string means a word. Remember, a string means a word. And in a word, by default, repetition is allowed, right? In a word. String means a word. So you can notice that by default, repetition is allowed in these things. Like for example, if I tell you, okay, just tell me this point. By default, repetition allowed or not? By default, repetition. So okay, I want to ask you, by default, repetition is allowed or not? Like in a word by default repetition is allowed. Yes, in a word by default repetition is allowed, right? Like moon is a word, this moon is a word, okay, this room is a word. So by default cat is a word, repetition is allowed. Okay, so by default repetition is allowed. Yes, allowed. It does not mean that you have to have repetition. Okay, it does not mean that you must have repetition, like cat does not have repetition. Okay, so it is allowed by default. Now tell me, if you have a number, by default in a number, if for example I give you, if I say 4-digit number, yes, by default, yes, again allowed, right? By default repetition is allowed. Like this is a 4-digit number, right? Like this is a 4-digit number, this is a 4-digit number, so these are 4-digit numbers. In a set, repetition by default allowed or not? No, not allowed. Okay, so not allowed, right? In a set, this repetition is not allowed. Now tell me, how many words of length 3 you can create? How many words of length 3 you can create? So you want to create a length 3 word. Now remember that here how many ways? 26 ways. Let's assume I put B here. How many ways? Again 26 ways, because I can again use B. How many ways? 26 ways. I can use, okay, I can use A. So this is the idea. Okay, so the answer will be what? How many? So 26 power 3. But here one thing also you can note, that whatever I put here, just note that whatever I put here, there are 26 ways here. Yes or no? See, whatever I put here, there are 26 ways. But whatever I put here, there are 26 ways here. Yes or no? Whatever I put here, there are 26 ways. Yes or no? Whatever I put here, again there are 26 ways. Yes or no? So whatever, this means whatever I put here, there are 26 ways. Similarly, whatever I put here, there are 26 ways. Okay, so this is the idea. How many strings of length 4 over 0 to 9 do not begin with 0? How many strings? The question is asking about string. String means word. Okay, how many strings of length 4 you have that do not begin with 0? So you should not begin with 0. Okay, you should not begin with 0. So here there is no 0. There should be no 0. So how many ways for here? How many ways I have here? So I have total 9 ways. Let me put 7 here. Let me put 7 here. Okay, like whatever I do, can I say whatever I do, there are 9 ways. Now whatever I do, tell me how many ways here? Whatever I do, now I can put 0 again. Okay, so now I have 10 ways, because now I can put 0. See, here I cannot put 0, so there are 9 ways. Now whatever I do, for example, if I put 7 here, or whatever I do, I can again have 10 ways. Whatever I put here, again I have 10 ways. Whatever I put here, I again have 10 ways. So finally answer will be 9,000. So the answer will be 9 into 10 into 10 into 10. This will be the final answer. One more question. So this is another question. Do not start with 0, and no repetition. Not start with 0, comma, no repetition also. Now tell me. It should not start with 0 and it should not have any repetition. Now the first position has 9 ways, because you should not put 0. There should be no 0. Remember, there should be no 0. So there are 9 ways. Now whatever I put here, how many ways I have here? Whatever I put here, now I have 9 ways. Because if I put, for example, if I put 8 here, now I cannot put this 8 here, but I can put 0 here. So I have 9 ways. Now, whatever I put here, how many ways? There are 8 ways. And then there are 7 ways. Yes or no? So the answer will be this. In combinatorics, we are going to take a lot of questions. Okay. These are very fundamental concepts. Once these fundamental concepts you understand clearly, without making any mistakes, once you clearly understand these fundamental concepts, the combinatorics is very easy. I can tell you one thing, I can promise you one thing. Anyone who understands these fundamental rules, summation rule, product rule, division rule, subtraction rule, anyone who will understand these 4 rules, okay, he will understand the complete combinatorics. So don't make any mistake in these fundamental rules. That is the reason these are called fundamental. Okay. So don't make any mistake in these rules.